Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. I've been using my computer all day. So, of course,
Yeah.
I got like 3 Wi-Fi connections to choose from, and it's got an air card, and none of them work.
And close down Pornhub and all the rest of that stuff you got going.
Totally. I get this full-length porn feature that I got to finish watching. So, guys, just go ahead. I'll just run that on the side.
Yeah, just every 5 minutes or so, take a pause, do your thing, then come back on. It's all good.
There's your high point for 2020. Free premium services.
Free premium. I love it. Was that a real thing, or was that just people talking shit?
No, I think that was a real thing.
Was it? That's hilarious, man.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
They offered free premium for the COVID people. Beaten off every day.
I wonder if Giuliani got like extra months free because of what
he's
he
probably
did
got a
band.
lifetime subscription, man.
Yeah.
He's
the new Pornhub mascot.
Yeah, no shit, eh?
The streaking hair stuff. What a creepy bastard that guy
That
is.
was like an oil spill, man. It looked like Exxon Valdez letting its
gross.
oil out in the ocean. Yeah.
What's funny is people forget what he did at 9/11.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know it's not like it's what did you do for me last week, right?
Well, you go from being the world hero and joining up with Trump and being the world's goat.
Yeah, like seriously.
Like the guy was the savior of the planet during 9/11.
And he was awesome, yeah.
And now what is he?
Yeah.
He's a meme.
Well, like
he's a meme.
He's a joke to everybody now. I don't know anybody that even would take him seriously at all.
And that's awful to even say that, right? But the truth is, it's not unfunny. But on a lot of different levels, obviously, it's just funny. But the fact is, he actually thinks he's doing well. I think that's what makes it almost extra funny. Yeah. Is like Trump, right? Trump is like a buffoon, but because he thinks he's so smart and doing well, he's actually an extra buffoon.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. Like he's like doubly buffoonish or whatever.
I was reading he's now turning on everybody. So like now he's saying like Pence is a traitor and a whatever, and I'm like, oh my god, like this guy's got some serious issues.
Yeah, totally.
Well, he's able to basically crater an entire country and then go golfing.
Yeah, right. Just take off and
It's the Secret Service to drop him off the golf course and gives it one of these.
Yeah.
Good luck to y'all.
Yep.
Well, and he's going to take Secret Service for the day he dies. He's going to take every service they offer a former president. Mm-hmm. He's going to take it all just to soak up some more of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
If I'm going down, I'm taking everybody with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he'll make like 10,000 an hour on the speaking circuit, right? Like
easy,
just like Clintons and all that. I know. $10,000 an hour they get paid, man, some of them. And it's probably more now.
On top of who knows how many business deals he made during his presidency that are going to pay off suddenly a month after he's not president. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
He's got this. I'm sure there's so much shady deals. Like it's nuts.
Yeah, so much going on. So are you there, Don?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. Yeah,
I don't see the video, but the audio's there anyway.
Yeah, we can hear you, so it's cool.
Is it just like one still image, or is it just black?
One still image of your.
I'm just getting a black image.
Oh, I have a picture of your beautiful coconut.
Wow.
Yeah, me too. You look good though.
Yeah, man.
That's funny.
Looks good.
Yeah, I haven't moved since I sat down, so no, my video's working just fine.
Well, that's why I asked. I'm like, well, maybe he's just not moving.
Yeah.
and you can be pretty quiet, right? So it could be that you're just sitting still and not saying much.
Totally.
He's the ninja of the group here.
So does anyone have anything like a high point that they want to like talk about from this past year? Something that like really stands out as a high point? Or should we do the shit first? Should we go shit first and then finish off with like the cream? Or start with the cream and then end up with the shit?
No, let's go through the shit and into the good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, through the shit.
Out of the way.
Yeah.
All right, let's clean this shit off the plate first. Okay, so who wants to go first about like the worst thing? So obviously COVID happened.
COVID.
We all know that. COVID. So the worst thing personally, I guess, like what's the worst thing that happened for us this year, based on not just COVID, obviously, but the results of COVID. Does anyone want to go first? I know it's hard, eh?
Well, I guess for me, the worst part. Well, I guess because I lost my job back in May, I got laid off. So I guess in a lot of ways that was the worst thing. I mean, there's some good that came in that too. So, but I'd say as far as personally goes, I think that's probably the worst thing that happened was just losing the job and so.
And what do you think the worst thing that happened in general is? Like, not just to you personally, this could be about everything, but us personal and as well as just in general, what do you think the worst shit is?
I think honestly, it's the COVID and everything around it, all the way governments are handling it. I think because we were forced to isolate and change how we're socially interacting, I think it brought a lot of issues to the forefront. Black Lives Matter and all that kind of stuff. But I just think those were wounds that were kind of not festering right at the surface and nobody was wanting to really look at them. And I think when we were isolated for that first bit of COVID, I think it was almost like, I mean, everybody was on YouTube, everybody was on streaming. And so when like George Floyd happened, it was even, more people were aware of it faster, I think. So I just think it highlighted some of those like hard issues that our society likes to pretend don't exist, but they really do. So I think so when I think about COVID, it's not just, I mean, there's the side of it where, people are getting sick and they're dying and there's long-term effects, but it's the whole, everything else surrounding it. It's the fighting, it's the governments, the way they're handling it. It's just the way like the anti-maskers and just all this anger everywhere. And then, so that's my opinion.
Yeah, that's fair, man. That's a good one. I mean, that's true. It's funny. I was thinking probably the worst thing that happened was George Floyd being killed in terms of, social, but that's not the worst, right? Like, I mean, it's awful, but the truth is like that millions of people have died this year. So, but I think that was so important and stands out to me just because of what it brought about afterwards, and I really hope that we have to sleep on that stuff, some of that stuff, and again, I don't know much about the Black Lives Matter movement, or I don't know more. Like I'm a very low level knowledge person of that stuff, but I do see it, regardless of it doesn't always do it the right way, but it's necessary, right? Like there's obviously things that need to change, and I think that's really what, like you said, was brought to the surface this year. With all the isolation, everybody had time to sit around and think, right? And think like how good is life? How good is life really if as soon as we shut things down, everybody hoards toilet paper? Like how good are things? Because we can't ignore that, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know, I can't ignore it. I see those things happen in real time and it has a real impact on me. Right? Like seeing people hoard, seeing people push people out of the way to get stuff, like that has a real impact on me. And I think that's one of the biggest things personally for me was realizing how some people are really just pure selfish, and that's really hard for me to take because I want to believe in the good in people, So, I mean, and that's, again, it's probably my naivety coming to the surface, just like lots of things came to the surface this past year because of how people were put to the test, and not by other people, just by the sheer circumstances, right, of the way things were going. Anyway, that's enough out of me on that one. That's probably the biggest one for me, though.
Yeah.
And I was going to say Catholic Church, but then I know I could hear Dom snickering, saying yes. Say the Catholic Church.
Yeah, let's not get to your triggers quite yet.
We'll wait till we've been talking for a few minutes first.
That's right.
What about you, Dom or John? Either one of you guys.
Go ahead. Yeah, I mean, I think it's the year where it's been so hard on so many different people that I think when you look at people's resilience, or when you look at the factors that used to make you resilient, now I think people are kind of almost revisiting those in terms of, where those some of those things are not in place. So I mean, I just finished. I had to take some time off. I count my blessings, right, because I have a job, and I have to take some time off because it's just one of those mandatory things. But I didn't have anything to do or anywhere to go, and I think typically my resilience came from looking at trying to get away and getting to some sort of vacation, or just getting away from things like phones and computers and emails and things like that. And now I kind of have to reevaluate, like, okay, I can't draw on what would typically refill my bucket. So now I got to look at new things. So, for 2 weeks off, I said, yeah, I could have just continued to work straight through, but I didn't. I learned new things. I found new hobbies. I read 3 books. I did things that I wanted to do. I didn't have any schedule. And I think it's just, finding new ways, to decompress and not be so consumed in the day-to-day events. So yeah, maybe, it's kind of a blessing in disguise, right? That maybe the worst thing that happened was that I had to find new ways to be resilient. So yeah, silver lining, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good point. Johnny?
Oh, well, let's see. I think for me, the hardest part was the disconnection from a lot of people. It was a really weird year. I mean, despite the COVID thing, and which I got, by the way, and it sucked, totally sucked. It was brutal. So I just recommend everybody listen to what the doctors and the health professionals are saying. It's not, it's for real, man. Like, I was so sick. And, you see the ICU numbers that are skyrocketing, and people in the hospital, and people that are dying. And then you see these people who are, and I don't even know what they're protesting. They're infringement on their freedom to not wear a mask, you dumbass. Like, I don't get it. I really don't. And for somebody who's had it, knows how bad it is, and had someone in my family with compromised immune system, to see these people protesting, and and I understand they have a right to do that, but for me, the worst part about that and all of that stuff was I got way too emotionally involved in all of that. Just brought out a lot of anger and resentment in me. And, while we're talking about the voices in recovery, anybody who's listening to this that's in recovery knows how difficult this year was for people who are trying to stay sober and having meetings closed and having no ability to connect with people in our community. When we have difficult times and struggles and challenges in our lives, we usually find some comfort in connecting with our kind. We find connection in going to meetings and talking to other people in recovery. Now, I mean, as well as I do, David, well more than I do, how many people have really adversely been impacted by this whole pandemic thing. Not only here, but I mean globally, right? Zoom meetings are one option. It doesn't replace that face-to-face contact. It doesn't replace that social interaction that we get from going to a meeting and talking to other people.
Yeah.
So I know for myself, isolating is not good, but this entire year, pretty much for the last 9 months, has been isolation, pretty much.
Yeah.
Not having that opportunity to go to meetings and do that kind of stuff. So fortunately, I haven't really suffered any adverse effects from it. I mean, other than the rise of resentments and anger and those negative emotional feelings. But I don't know. I just see the divisiveness there, if that's a word, divisiveness, society. Like you guys mentioned before, that what's mine is mine. And I'm going to hoard it and you can't have it. And screw you. Once I get what I have and what I need, then everybody else can go to hell. But there are the other part of society that have said, no, here, I have enough. Take my share, So
yeah.
While it's spotlighted, and I don't want to sound too doom and gloom here, but it certainly has the human condition. It spotlighted what human nature really is. And while there are some members of society that rose to the occasion and actually did things that benefited others, there are a lot of people that just went back to their basic animal instinct skill. And you know what? Sitting on the porch with the shotgun, kind of.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that's exactly what I was talking about earlier, right? It's like at what point, the good news I think is, well, it's good and bad news from my perspective. It's like the good news is there's more good people than there are bad. That I know for sure, because on a walk, you get bothered by 3 people out of the hundreds you see, right? So, and I'm just obviously throwing those numbers around. I'm not suggesting those are real numbers, but it's obvious there's more good people than bad, or we'd be in a lot of trouble. Like we would be in a lot more trouble if it was, say, even. Like if there was even good to even bad people, like selfish, say, just unselfish and selfish. Forget about good and bad. But like if it was half and half, man, we'd be in a lot of trouble. More trouble than we are. That's for sure. So I think you're right, and that's always like the silver lining. I think, like Dom said earlier, is like there is lots of good coming out of it. Like I've noticed in myself, like defects that have come up and throughout the last 10 months that I haven't even observed maybe for 5 years, right? Like things coming up that, holy crap, like I can't even imagine why I would get upset by that, but you mentioned it as well. Resentment. This is like a good place for resentment to dwell, right? Is when you have to sit in your own shit all day and realize that even though it's going to get cold, you have to still sit in it.
Yep.
Like, right? Like it can be as uncomfortable as it's going to get, but you're still stuck in it, and I guess that's the bottom line, is we're always stuck with us, right? And however we can interpret this thing. I think that's one of the hardest ones for me was my depression this year. It really pushed me to the edge a few times, and yeah, it was really hard a few times this year. Like if it was years past, I probably would have a much different description of how depression got me. But I can say pretty much every day I've dealt with some symptom of it, or various symptoms of it. I can't remember a time where I haven't this year, to be honest. Yeah. Even while we were out camping, like it was just pretty much a daily struggle just to, I say struggle, some days it wasn't a struggle, obviously, even though when you're wrestling with like suicidal ideations, that can be a struggle every day. But yeah, it's just been that kind of fucking hard, but lots of good too, like, I don't know. I feel bad for all the folks that lost businesses, right? Like that also like lost their jobs. So like Darcy, so many people though. I mean, it was, that's the other side of things, that even people with jobs like myself, I'm only speaking for myself, like where I think, okay, how lucky am I? right? Like seriously lucky to still have work and to still be making a paycheck, right? This time, I mean, the work is busier than ever. So thank God I can still do it. But how are you guys finding that on your own mental health? Like how have you guys been? This is the perfect place for this question because we're all four looking at each other. Well, sort of Dom's not really looking at us, but like all four of us can see. Yeah, all four of us can see each other, and so we always talk about ending the stigma. Let's talk about it. How has your mental health been?
You know what? I think you hit it exactly on the head where you said, basically wherever you go, there you are.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And learning how to, I know for me, since, becoming sober and staying in recovery, the watcher of my mind, that ever-present voice, when I feel a lot of judgment and resentment and anger come up, that voice kicks in automatically and basically kind of bitch slaps me back into the right lane. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's really annoying because I just want to be angry. I just want to be sad. I just want to be, feel a normal range of emotion. But fortunately for me, I don't have the normal range of emotion. I'm like you, right? I go from crippling depression to like outrageous anxiety and forget.
And I'll smash your face.
Forget that middle path is there when really it's all within me. It's all in my control. It's about me in that regard, right? And I mean, I get it. Like, I've been talking to a couple of my neighbors and they both lost their jobs, and he has been cripplingly depressed and is now going on medication. And, the thing is it's okay to feel that way. It's okay to be depressed. It's okay to be anxious. It's okay to be afraid. But I think for myself is that I want to keep up that persona of I got this. I can handle it. Anything other than being in complete control is not acceptable. Mm-hmm. I know that is not true because everything is out of my control. Everything. The only thing that's in control that I have power over is me. Although I allow myself to fall into that trap, right? I allow myself, like you said, shit stinks, but it's warm. And once you're in it, you don't want to get out. So, but with the isolation and, just not to harp back to the meetings and stuff, but I know that for myself, going to meetings is a great way to get rid of depression. It's a great way to battle anxiety. It's a great way to be connected. And social interaction is one of our basic needs. We're social animals. We need to have contact with other people, right? So when that depression and anxiety kick in, it's not as easy to be able to handle it without going to a meeting, right? So it's just exacerbated and it extends a lot longer than it should, right? I mean, and everything is temporary and it eventually get better, but that's part of the path, right? It goes up and down. So I don't know. That's what my mental health has been like a total train wreck for the last 10 months, like you said. Yeah. So, but again, I need to focus on being grateful for what I do have instead of resentful for what I don't.
Yeah, fair enough, man. That's how it works, right?
And health is the one thing that you never get a second chance at.
Yeah, you said it, man. How you doing, Darcy? How's your mental health, man?
Well,
there's Dom. We got a picture.
Oh, we got a video or a picture. Yeah. I would say it's like John said. It's like just a roller coaster ride. you know, you'll go through a couple of days where like you just want to like literally not get out of bed, and then a couple of days where, yeah, you can do this. This is all right. And then a couple, you know, and then it just swings, and you're just constantly up and down. And I don't know. It was just, there was times where I was like, I know I should be happy about stuff, but I'm not. And other times where I was like, I should be mad or upset about stuff, but I'm not. So like, I think it just kind of skewed everything and set a new, like, it was like reset on how I look at things, because stuff that bothered me before, is it really important now? Like, especially with the whole context of everything, like, you know, people are losing their jobs, people are losing their lives, people are getting permanently damaged from COVID. Some people get through it easy, but it's just, you know, then there's the, like John said, the lack of social interaction. There's all these things that are around it. And then all of the other social issues that got highlighted this year. And it just dogpiled. So like every time you felt like, okay, no, I can deal with this COVID lockdown. And then it was like, bam, something else. And you're like, okay, just 2 things is good. We got 2 fires. I think I can handle that. Bam, another one. And then of course, for anybody who lost their job, lost their housing, you know, had those kinds of personal kind of traumas. I mean, it's just crazy, you know, like, and then of course, during COVID, one of my dogs died, and, you know, things like that. So it's just like, it's insane. And then of course, I think there's a lot of irrational anger, or just, there was a good portion of time where after a few months of it, where I just found that, you know, like I would drop a spoon on the floor, and it would just like, I'd want to rage. Like, I just want to break the spoon. That's how like quick it was to just switch to anger. And then, then I had to think, well, like, what is going on? But yeah, it's just been a lot of work to try not to lash out at everyone around you, or, you know, I mean, sometimes just not even drive the vehicle into the guy in front of you. Sometimes, like, it's just been a crazy year. Like, because I've had irrational thoughts where I'm just like, you know, somebody not even cuts me off or does anything to me. They're just driving slower than I think they should or something, and that's enough. And I'm just like, I should just ram them off the road. You know, so
totally.
But it's just, I didn't think like that before, and now, you know, especially with all the stresses, it's just crazy.
Yeah,
it just seems crazy now. So yeah, it was just right, all over. And for me, it was a lot of anger, because I think that's my go-to. But yeah, so then it started to become a lot of time for self-reflection. And why is that happening? So, so I guess
how's that going?
Well, it's coming along. It's a work in progress. Yeah. That's how I like to look at it.
Right on. Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
Hey, Dom, how about yourself, man? How's your mental health, my friend?
Yeah, you know, I'm trying to be very aware that I'm just one person who's all wrapped up in this, right? And every time where I start to feel like it's starting to become challenging, I just try to find ways to look at how others have been impacted, and say, and even today, like, I was just like, I had to say to myself, life is good. Like, I am good. I am healthy. I am well. life is good. And so I think, you know, just trying to draw, you know, some sort of sense when you look at how many opioid deaths there's been this year. We look at, you know, like, and I think in Alberta, there's been 90 opioid deaths a month. That brings us at over 900 kind of opioid deaths for, you know, for the first 10 months of the year. I'm sure it'll be into the thousands now by the time we wrap this up. And you know, would we have had as many opioid deaths? Would we have had as many suicides? Would we have had as many other things happen if we didn't have such a focus and, you know, pulling people away from their supports and strengths? So, you know, like, so I go back to, you know, to John's, you know, comments around, you know, for people that really crucially rely on those supports and those networks for meetings and seeing people in person. That's where, you know, like, I think, you know, we've been sort of almost fixated by the media, by the government, and righteously so. Like we need to be focused and fixated. But I think, I'm starting to see that we need to have a little bit more of a globe, like just widen our vision a little bit and see what the impacts have been on people, see how mental health has kind of affected people and kids who are not able to do what they would normally do, not able to do the sports that they would normally do, not able to interact and do, like all those things, right? So today I thought about all of those things and I just thought, I'm lucky. I'm blessed. I'm good. I'm well. So I think that's kind of what's keeping me grounded through this. And hopefully, I would say we'll get through this together. And I'll just kind of stay the course. Being an inner introvert, I'm not quite where you guys are at yet in terms of needing this interaction with other people. I am still happy in my house by myself with the lights off.
It's good to have one of you with us, man. It's true though, man. Yeah, it's a good point.
So what are go ahead, Dave.
No, go, bro. It's great.
I was going to say, so what are, I guess, turning the corner now on, like, what would be some of your highlights? And then or I guess, what were some of the positives that did come out of any negatives that happened this year for either personally or bigger, right? What do you think?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, well,
we start thinking, I mean, it's nice to talk about positive stuff too, right? Like, I mean, I appreciate that so much. I just don't want to do it at the cost of the truth, the reality of things, right? Like, because I know my reality is probably very, it's probably luxurious to some, right? Like I think about this all the time, how full my life is, like how much I have in terms of just love, really, and not to have to, I don't have any reason to spend a lot of time focused on my negative shit. Is what I'm getting at, because I have a lot of positive shit, right? But I'm still living, I'm still alive, so the depression's there like every day. But the highlight of this, one of the highlights anyway, has been introspection. Like I've been able to, given time, and that's kind of what I've been really interested in the last year, is just to try to figure myself out a lot. Like not some of my more outstanding qualities, which probably I'm well aware of and well accustomed to. I'm thinking more about the things that I have neglected because they're painful, right? And so it's more of it's been an exploration for me, and it hasn't been always pleasant. I've had like periods over the last few months where, God, I can't even like get out of bed. I'm just bawling, right? Like I'm coming apart. But the reality of that is, and even in the moment, I think I recognized it a couple times, it's because I was willing to look at some stuff that I wasn't willing to look at before, right? Like I wasn't willing to just let it go and tell somebody and talk about it again and get it out there. And I think I had like the universe this year really prodding me to do that as well. And because there was a period of time where I was talking about being abused as a kid many, many times. I don't know how many times I actually was interviewed about it in the span of 2 weeks, but it was like 4 or 5. I can't even remember who interviewed me about it. That's how many times. And obviously I could write it down, but when it comes to that subject, there's something that happens to my brain, and probably I'm sure there's lots of rational reasons for it. But it's just like I go into a fog, and I don't know if it's the same for you, John, when you think back about what you've been through, or when it pushes its way into consciousness, because to me, that's what it feels like. It feels like it's pushing its way in there. And so as ugly as it has been to look at some of that stuff over and over and over again, because there was a period of time where I was talking about it a lot. I don't regret talking about it a lot. It's just the way the universe worked things out. It was just hard, because when I start talking about it, I go into that fog, and I basically neglect every other part of me, right? Like, because it goes back to when I was a kid. And it's just, all it's about is protection, right? And so I start shutting my doors. I start like putting up the fences inside my head, and I can feel it with people too, right? Like where when I'm going and I start being a little bit less genuine, you know, because I don't have enough capacity to let it all out there. And I'm not a big fan of doing that. I like to be able to give all of it and then refill my cup and then give all of it again and then refill my cup. So that was hard for me, but the truth is it was, yeah, that's one of the highlights of me, for me, Darcy, is just being able to look at stuff I don't want to look at and be okay, you know, like grow from it instead of shrug or hide away from it. Yeah. Cower was the word I was looking for, because there was periods of time in my life where I would cower from those memories, right? Like I couldn't be in the same space with them. Even after going through step 4s and stuff like that, it's one of those things that trauma is just there, right? Like, and as much as I think I understand it, it starts to change. But really what's changing, I think, is I'm getting older. So it's starting to have a different effect on me, right? Because there is that legitimate thing that's happening to us humans as we get older. Things are gradually wearing down. Like that's what happens, right? So I think there's parts of I think it was Dom talked about it earlier, just the resiliency of what we're normally fit to do. We have to re-equip with different stuff now, right? Because we can't go to the gym to take our frustrations out. We can't do these things. And I'm definitely noticing that, the loss of those. I was glad to see, John, and maybe you didn't know this, but I was really glad to see the province gave all, I think, 12-step fellowships an exemption. So I think most of them in the city are able to meet in person. At this go around, I think they actually spelled it out and they got an exemption of some kind. I don't know what their numbers are, but I was really glad to hear that, because the last time it killed so many people. Like, you know, like the shutdown just, and I don't know the numbers on how you would even really gather those numbers, but it seemed like a lot of people were dying, and they were like us, right? Unable to, if you leave me alone for too long, like I get into trouble. Like I do. It's weird. Like Dom mentioned being an introvert, like the king introvert on the panel here tonight. And I look forward to aspiring to your introvertness, Dom, because seriously, I wish I didn't need, as much as I need that time alone to recharge, I also need time with people to charge up, right? Like it's a weird give and take, because honestly, I'm not a social animal in any description, but I wish I didn't need people the way I need them. If I could say that like that, I think that's how I could say it. I wish sometimes, days like today, when I'm out there and everybody seems so selfish and self-centered, and of course I am too, because it's all about me and how I feel out there, right? Why isn't anyone in public like paying attention to me and what I need? Yeah, see, now I can't even remember what I was saying, because it's all fun and games, because the reality of it is we're all fucked. Like we're all stuck here together in this place that we have no control over. And that's what I meant by fucked. I didn't mean we're all fucked. I just meant none of us have control over this, right? And trying to exert control over this stuff that I can't control, that causes me like no end of suffering, right? Like no end of it. Now I can't even remember what your question was, Darcy. How's that, man?
It's a good answer, I guess. I don't know.
Right on. Right on. Dom,
yeah, no, it was just like what some of the good things, I guess, that came out of whatever this year. So
yeah, so I guess I did answer your question. Yeah. I am much quicker to laugh when I shit my pants today than I was 10 months ago. I can assure you. Yeah, and when I say shit my pants, I mean not literally, but figuratively.
Gotcha. Sure.
So there's a highlight, I guess.
How about you guys?
You go, John.
Yeah, I think that for me, the bright spots or the positive moments from the past year are just realizing how much I took for granted before. How much I didn't realize what normal was, right? And just being able to go for groceries and without having to line up, and now I realize how much I took for granted before. And with this whole COVID thing, and it was pretty much at the very beginning of the pandemic when Mona was diagnosed with cancer. And so dealing with the cancer diagnosis and the COVID thing at the same time, and having to go to the hospital, and it's very interesting that we sat with a guy once in chemo, and he knew that he was terminal, right? He was at the end of his days, right? But to still have a positive outlook, sitting with the guy, right? And to have someone who is basically facing the end of their life practically immediately in the span of time, saying, cherish your family, cherish the small things that you take for granted, and be grateful for things. The whole gratitude and acceptance out of the last 10 months, the acceptance especially of, what, this is what it is. And no matter how much I piss and moan about it, my bad attitude isn't going to change it. It's not going to make it any better. It's probably going to make it worse. And it's not doing anybody any good, to sit in a wet diaper and complain. Well, the introspection thing as well, that was a big part of it. Like that voice of reason in the back of my head, and always coming to the forefront now and guiding me. And I don't know, I'm the kind of person where it's easy to focus on the negative, because that's just my conditioning, right? I'm more keenly aware of things that I perceive to be negative occurring. That whether or not they are is of no consequence, but I perceive them to be negative, and I focus on those a little more just because of life experience and what I've had to go through. But when the kids were home from school, and when I was working nights at the recovery house, I got to come home in the morning and see my kids and have breakfast with them. And it wasn't just a quick 30 seconds, hi, how you doing? And they're out the door, I got to actually spend time with my boys and really appreciate that. We would do things, go for walks with the dogs together, be outside shooting hoops, and just things that typically we wouldn't normally be able to do. So those are the kind of, the silver lining, like Dom said. Those are some of the things that prior to this would have been passed by. It's okay. We'll do it later. I got stuff to do here, but I promise we'll do it tomorrow or next week, or and then it never happens. With it was, yeah, you know what? You want to do that? Let's do that right now. We don't have to wait. We don't have anything else to do. Let's spend some time together. So, you know, it's like I say, it's easy for me to focus on what I perceive to be a negative. And that's another thing that I've benefited from is being able to work on that, and just that there is no positive or negative. Everything happens for a reason. Everything is as it's supposed to be, even though we don't be this way, right? We don't like this. We don't want COVID. We don't want to be locked in our houses. But it is. It is what it is, right? And to be able to practice acceptance around that, to say, I have no control over this. I have to allow this to be as it is. Because the longer I fight against it, the more it resists. And then it just spirals me out of control, right? That tailspin happens, and it's hard to recover from that. So, you know, for all of the and I don't like that term negative, but I guess it's appropriate. But so for all of the negative aspects of what's happened in the last 10 months, there's certainly has been positive aspects of it, right? And I don't watch the news. I try not to at all, because I think that just perpetuates mass panic, and it puts people into a frame of mind of fear, right? See things on the media. So, but there have been things that I've seen, and you know, people who are risking their lives to help others during this. You know, first responders, the healthcare workers, the staff, and I don't mean just the ICU nurses and stuff, but the people who are cleaning, you know, taking out the garbage and working in food services and stuff like that. Like, I can't imagine how stressful that must be for those people to have to deal with this every single day, seeing no light at the end of the tunnel, you know?
Yeah.
And like I say, while the nurses and doctors and stuff are pivotal, it's the little guys that go unrecognized, you know, the people, the cleaners, there's just so many people that need to be recognized that may go unnoticed, right?
Yeah.
Cops, paramedics for sure, you know, like, man, oh man, those poor guys, what they deal with. And so anyhow, it has been something that I've been able to have discussions with my boys about, as far as, you know, accepting things as they are, and being grateful that there are people out there that are willing to risk their lives to make sure that the rest of us are safe, right? So I don't know, you know, I mean, I think,
that's pretty solid by them, man.
Yeah, right?
Pretty solid. Yeah, it's a pretty solid thing those folks are doing. Yeah.
Oh, dude. Like,
all the hospital workers, like from the ground up, right? Like, yeah.
Like, and going to work every single day, and you know, but yeah, so that was my positive.
Right on. Cool.
Dom, you want to go ahead?
Sriracha beef jerky. That is
That's
what
your
it's
highlight?
all about. Just so you know. And like I echo what John was saying. I never cooked beef jerky in my life, and I thought, what can I do with my son? So we started this process about 24 hours ago. Came to fruition at about 3:15 today, pulling some beef jerky off the smoker. Never maybe would have tried that in the past, right? But I had time, and I had time to spend with him. And so, man, I'm going to write a book, Sriracha beef jerky. It's the truth. It's the way.
Nice.
It's the way. So it tastes pretty good. Then I was going to ask you how it tastes.
Oh, it like blows your head off. Like, you know, it's very, very, very hot. But I think, you know, just I think, you know, for me, it's don't dwell on things that you can't control. Try to reinvent yourself, like every day. Try something new, try something you're afraid of, try something you haven't done. Challenge yourself and kind of keep pushing forward, and take solace that it's December 28th. There's 3 days left in this year, and hopefully we put it all behind us.
Oh my God. Can you imagine if it actually worked that way? We'd like
hit the
on
reset
the
button.
first, the 1st of January comes and everyone's like, oh, hey, how's it going, Bob? Yeah, I'm good, Bob. Good to see you, Bob. Everybody's name is Bob. Everything is well.
Yeah, totally.
That would be so funny.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, for me, I think
yeah, you got to go too.
Yeah, I know. See, I'm going. For me, I think the biggest thing was well, there was actually a few things, but one of the biggest ones probably being able to spend a lot of time with my daughter. I mean, she turned 13 this year, so we were always like, well, you only got a few more years before she doesn't want to hang out with you at all or be seen with you. But I think COVID's kind of reevaluated that. So it's just been kind of nice spending time with her. So I mean, for me, that's been a great thing. Because when I was working, I was out of town probably at least 3 days a week. So it was kind of a complete shift for me from being out of town and at work when I'm in town to now I'm home every day. And so, I mean, that's hard. And certainly financially, it's not been easy, but definitely, spending time with my daughter. And I think one of the biggest things is just taking the time to reevaluate what is important to you and what isn't. And I think, I talked about it for a long time, but you never really get that oomph to maybe do it. But you kind of get in that bubble where it's just, if you're, you get in your routine and you go to work, you come home, you do this, you do that. And then it's the end of the week and weeks go by and months go by and you just really feel like you haven't done anything. And I feel like this has kind of put things in perspective and made me really reevaluate, like, I mean, right now trying to find a job is brutal, but is that really where I want to be? Is it just another job, or is it maybe take this time now because you're forced to be home, you're forced to do these things, to start reevaluating? Maybe you got different goals, maybe set new goals, maybe shift away from work mentality to maybe you need a better balance in your life. But just that, like you guys were talking about, that introspection. And I feel like that's really what 10 months has been, is just figuring out who I am again and what do I even like and why do I like that. And I, took up a lot of things that I really wasn't, things I kind of always wanted to do, but it was like, you don't have time. And now that wasn't an excuse. So I did a lot of those things, and really started getting in photography and stuff like that. And obviously my daughter is, goes with me on all those trips and stuff like that. So it was just, I don't know, I guess those are my positives, but it really is, I think it boils down to having that gratitude of, okay, this is what I have. And I'm grateful for that, because not everybody has what I have. And some people might have more, but a lot of people have less. So, but just realizing that even within that, you still have to find moments of happiness, of joy, of connection with people. So like for me, it's easier. And I think, actually all of us, it's probably easier because at least we have families. Like if I was just a single dude living in an apartment, I don't know what I'd be like right now. I'd be one.
I was just thinking the same thing. Yeah.
But just being able to, sometimes my daughter doesn't come out of her room much, and that's cool. But you just kind of got to learn to just roll with things and not take things so seriously, and not get, not let all those little things bug you and get on you. And let's see. Yeah. So I've done a lot of thinking about like stuff I used to get annoyed about. And it's like, why? What is the point of that? Or, and just even social media. I think COVID, I've backed right off social media. I don't watch the news anymore, hardly at all. It was like when they said lockdown, I was like, okay, let's just lock down. And I don't want to hear anything from the outside world. Like, I just want a bunker. I'm in my Les Nessman version of a bunker. He's going to put some tape out, and then nobody comes in here. So I think those were the highlights for me for this year, for sure. If cool. I was going to find good things out of all this stuff that's happening. And I think it's a good thing that we started to highlight some of the issues that we have in society. I think it's a great opportunity as a society to go, okay, what is really important to us as a society, you know, and really start. I mean, I wish we were doing more of it and maybe progressing faster at changing things, but just that concept as even as neighbors, as friends, like, geez, maybe I should start calling my friends more often, and maybe I should, you know, like just realizing like what is more important to you. And so I hope that we see a shift, I guess, in 2021 to maybe make our priorities a little more community based for everybody. And I don't know. I think that's my highlights.
Cool. Yeah, I think.
Is nobody going to mention the best part of 2020, in my opinion, the Christmas video of Dave?
Yeah, that was pretty epic.
If anything summed up 2020 more perfectly, I don't know. I haven't seen it yet.
Right?
That video was probably the best thing that happened the entire year.
It was, in my mind, when I think of it, I think of Izzy was 2020 and Floyd was all of us in the beginning of 2020. Right? All of a sudden we're panicking and we're screaming and we're running because there's this big ugly thing coming after us.
Seriously, you know what? It encapsulated everything that 2020 was about.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Don't trust anybody.
Yeah, let's just burn 2020 and move forward from here.
But I got to tell you, man, like I got to spend lots of time with Heather, like with our cats, like, and we don't have kids, but I got to spend lots of time with my family too, right? So I think I'm pretty lucky there too, and I got to see my friends, and well, I don't just get to, I like to, so I choose to, and I think I can only see them so much before they'll get annoyed with me. So what I try to do is just go slow with my friends. Once a week probably can handle me. That's probably pretty much tops, once a week. But I love having my friends around. I love having my family. And I know how full that makes my life, because there's lots of people that don't have that stuff, right? So I think at the end of the year, probably the same every year for me, is the people in my life as opposed to any of the stuff that I might or might not have. You know, like all the people. Yeah, I think I'll carry that with me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's always the main thing every year, right? Is like Mona is like doing well, like, you know what I mean? Those things are important. Like those are what's really important. You know, Dom gets to spend more time with his kids. John, Darcy, like I know we started watching Lucifer. And have you guys seen the series on Netflix? It's pretty funny anyway. We just started watching it, and literally Lucifer's perspective on children sums up Heather and my perspective, in like only as a joke. It's kind of like, oh yeah, there's a little creepy thing with boogers and stuff. Like it's more like a joke, right? Like, but reality is, it's amazing to hear you guys talk about your kids. Like I love listening to you guys talk about how you got to spend more time with them. And to me, I don't know what would be more important, right? Because I do, as much as Heather and I get annoyed with each other at times, like I love her. So it's been really nice being able to get to know her differently, right? More deeply, I guess. Especially because it hasn't been all roses, I'll tell you that. Being locked, as all of you can attest to, for the last 10 months, I don't know what I did before the lockdown to cope with the weekly stress of life, except for go to the gym. It's the only thing I can really connect to, that, and I was able to be away from the house working more, which probably alleviated a lot of that stress. But outside of the stress, it's been really nice getting to know my partner, right? Like, and our cats. But I really want some of that beef jerky, Dom.
Yeah, no kidding. I think you should have had to bring some for group here.
Yeah,
or send some to us so we could all try it on air here.
I think
was
he
on
did bring
deck.
some for group.
Yeah, like I remember promising pizza for this for our get together here.
Right.
Yeah,
You
right.
realize how much of this COVID stuff I had to orchestrate in order to not get through with that? Like I had to come up with this worldwide pandemic to not open my wallet and buy you guys pizza on this get together. But
you know
it worked
what?
out my way, so what can I say? It was just a small
It's funny.
small price
It's
to
the
pay.
same guy who told us that we just follow the money, man. Wherever there's the money is, that's going to be the issue. The money. You didn't want to get pizza. Now we got to wear masks everywhere. Thank you very much.
Way to go, Dom.
Maybe next year. Like we'll try for 12 months from now. I might be good on that. So
great. Now we're gonna have a super volcano go off or something.
Oh my God! Would anybody be surprised? Seriously? Like,
no.
I don't know. I think. What do you guys project for 2021? Does
Complete
anyone have any
apocalyptic.
projections?
Mad Max. That's what I'm predicting. Mad Max, full on.
That's what you're predicting?
Yeah.
So we know who just got off of a YouTube binge, like all day in the YouTube K-hole, the paranoia K-hole.
I'll just get I got my tinfoil hat over here. I'll just get that on.
Yeah, for anybody who's watched The Walking Dead, now we know what happened in the prequel. The COVID vaccine came out, and then what happened?
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah, everybody started getting the vaccine, and it turned them into The Walking Dead. That's pretty far out. Do you guys have any plans for New Year's? I mean, look, I get it. You can't tell me if you're going to go to a party because you'll get arrested, but I did hear some pretty sick fines out there that were handed out.
Yeah.
Apparently, I heard about some sick ones, but in different parts of the world.
Yeah, well, I don't know, man. There's some crazy fines for like I've ever heard like 5,000 or 15,000 some places and stuff like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, I heard here in town it's $1,000 a head. Like if you're somewhere, like at a party or something like that, it's like $1,000 fine each. That could be totally made up. I have no idea.
I don't look into it because I never leave the house, so that's my new go-to thing. I'm like, COVID, can't leave. So
yeah, when I send out this little meme about becoming a recluse, and all my friends respond, "Yeah, we're already there. Like we're already there."
Yep.
I spent the last couple months looking at different countries to live so that I could actually get further away from society. So like I'm into tropical countries where you're deep in the jungle now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, it was weird because we hadn't heard from Darcy for a bit, and then all of a sudden he starts talking about moving to Costa Rica. Hey, and it's like, dude, what's going on with you, man? No, I'm moving to Costa Rica. People are fucked.
I had to reevaluate my goals, so that's my new goal. If I'm gonna die, it's gonna be in tropical paradise. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair, dude.
I mean, if I'm gonna get COVID, it's gonna be somewhere nice, not in Arctic, Canada.
Fair enough. And chances are, dude, if you're in the jungle down there and you don't know what you're doing, you'll probably die of something totally not COVID related.
Like I'll pick up a spider and think, how cute is this? And then it'll bite my head off or something. But it's all good.
You're going to get COVID, Darce? Where you get free healthcare first.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Get COVID where you get free healthcare and then go somewhere else.
Yeah. Don't get it in the States, man. That'll cost you your house.
Yes.
Maybe I should move to Australia or something. They don't have any there.
Yeah. I want to hear the how long it took you to recover, John. Like what symptoms did you get, and how long did it take to get over your COVID?
It's funny because I've talked to other people that have had it, and they said some have gotten like mild cold symptoms, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, other people have died. So you go from the spectrum of, I got a couple of sniffles and I'm planning a funeral. For me, it was almost a full month to recover from.
A full month?
Yeah. And at the peak of it, for about 2.5 to 3 weeks, I'd say, I was sleeping 22 hours a day, like really bad flu symptoms of sweats and then chills and body aches. And I never got the respiratory part of it. I got really bad gastrointestinal problems from it. Hypersensitivity to light and sound. Like any light at all was piercing, and any sound other than a whisper was like a bomb going off in my head. So yeah, this is a really, really weird disease. You know, it affects so many different people, so many different ways. But yeah, for me, it was extreme fatigue, like extreme fatigue. Getting up and walking down the stairs was pretty much all I could do. That was it. I was spent. Yeah. So, yeah, it was a long time recovering. It was about a month.
Wow, man. That's wild.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy. It's interesting. I just talked to my older brother, and he said he got tested positive 3 times with it, but he didn't have any symptoms for 3 weeks. And then it was gone. Yeah. Then he got tested again and it was gone. So he had no symptoms for 3 weeks and then it was gone.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And then you hear guys who are in good health and no pre-existing conditions who are catching it, and then they're dead within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's, you know what, I'm happy that it's gone. I'm happy that I recovered from it, and I would recommend anybody getting it. So don't be going out there and licking doorknobs and handrails, and you know, it's not a viable excuse to get out of going to work.
Yeah, no.
So we all shouldn't go to a party and get purposefully infected, and
that I can't say. You can if you want, and good luck to you.
Well, they were doing that in the States. They were doing that down south. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't recommend it. It sucked for me. So, I mean, if someone else gets it and they have no symptoms, then they're really lucky. But,
well, I think that's the point of this, right? Is that it's such a strange illness that you don't know what's going to happen to you.
No.
Right? Like it could be a cold or maybe not a cold, right? Yeah. Either way, it doesn't make any sense to infect other people with our shit.
No.
Well, and there's no point to the risk. Like, I mean, if you get it and you carry it around for 2 weeks without showing any symptoms, like it's just that's why I'm all for protesting, but I don't get this one because the only thing it does is save other people. So like I just don't understand why this is so inconvenient to some, but because for me it's just like I don't want to. I would hate to give this to somebody and then have them die. You know?
Well, and totally, man. You know what I would hate to do? I would hate to see our democracy come down to, okay, we have the right to protest, therefore we're going to protest everything. Like that diminishes, and I am almost, I didn't go down the YouTube K hole of conspiracy, K for conspiracy hole today, but I mean, it seems pretty erroneous to me. Like, why are we even like paying attention to this?
It's funny though, because it was the same thing in the 1918 and back then and during the plague.
Really?
The Spanish flu or whatever it was. Yeah.
There was protesters?
Oh, there was anti-maskers. Yeah. Cause like I was just reading an article my wife brought up today, and it was like, they were talking about Toronto, and Toronto had locked down and you know, like you couldn't go out of your house kind of thing. And you had to wear masks, and there was protesters then. And almost exactly 100 years ago. So like, we really haven't learned anything.
Well, it's funny, hey, because what they're protesting, it's only going to last longer if we don't wear masks.
Yes.
Like, we're going to have more government controls the longer the spread continues to be at the rate it was, right? Like,
at this rate, so are we going to start? I just laugh because I think what's after COVID, what's next? People are going to start being like, no, I do not have to wear pants to go into this store. Like, I don't get it. Like, what? So are we going to see no pants protests? And
good. Dude, if there's a protest about not wearing pants, I'm going to that protest.
Oh my God.
I don't want to wear pants either, man. You just brought up a good one. The next rally for no pants.
God, I don't know, man. I just laugh.
Unreal.
But I think that's the thing. At this point, for me, all I can do when I hear these things and stuff, I just I have to laugh because I don't even know what else to say. So,
how about you, Mr. Dominic? I have his frozen head on my screen. Can you guys see anything or
no? I'm just not moving. I'm just staying. I'm just staying very silent.
I forgot you're a ninja. He's like, I'm
Yeah,
very
no,
silent, very
I took up
still.
ventriloquism. Is that a thing? Like in my spare time? So it looks like I'm not actually speaking, but I really am. So,
Where's your hand? Oh,
Yeah, dude. Where do you put your hand on yourself?
maybe I'm glad the video isn't working. You must do a lot of yoga.
Yeah, totally.
A lot of yoga, because it's not his hand up there. You know what I'm saying?
And I've heard there's a super strain of gonorrhea going around now as well, just to impact your lives. So you guys be careful out there.
So wait, I bet you the increase in gonorrhea came from the use of glory holes for safe sex. That's exactly how it happened.
Backfired. It totally backfired.
Blame it on the
See, they were
helicopter.
going one direction.
Yep.
Totally went the opposite way. So
Talk about your all-time backfires. Glory holes lead to gonorrhea. We should probably start a meme.
Totally.
Oh,
So I
great.
gotta go out and protest that. So it's not fair.
It's not fair, man. It's not fair. But would you have gotten gonorrhea were you wearing a mask? These are the questions that are going to keep me up at night. Would
right.
I have gotten it if I had the mask on?
The hole in the middle.
Yeah.
The hole in the middle. Did you see those? The band, was it a marching band down in the States or something like that?
No.
They had like a little flap, and their horn could go on their mask.
Oh my god.
There was like a little flap. Dude.
Oh my god. Don't even want to start with the jokes about that. Not even gonna start.
It's already on the internet, so it's too late. It's too late. It was already on there. That's where I got it from.
You just gotta laugh, right? I mean, just the little things every day. My wife told me after a long shift at dispatching, she had this very irate caller call up, complaining about there was this guy and he was a bad driver, and on top of that, he wasn't wearing a mask while he was in his car, and he wants to report that person so he can go and write him a ticket.
Really?
Well, you don't have to wear a mask in your car by yourself. But this was news to him, so I'm glad there, can be a little bit of education along the way.
Oh, excellent. So Jilly was able to just talk him down and say, no big deal. It's okay. You don't have to wear a mask either in your car.
Yeah. Well, I often wondered if those people wearing a mask in their own car by themselves, I was like, okay, live a little. You could take it off for a second.
I don't think so. And I mean, I'm laughing. The truth of the matter is, there's probably people with gripping, terrifying, fear of this illness, right? So, and I imagine when I see someone driving their car by themselves with a mask on, that's who I see in the car. I'm like, oh my God, that's the epitome of afraid, right? And that's why John doesn't watch the news all day, right? I don't stay connected to that stuff all day because it's gonna kill me. You'll be just unable to leave the house these days. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I don't know what got up on a tangent there.
So about the Catholic Church, David. Just to
Oh,
wrap it up, do you want to give your 2 minutes on the Catholic Church before we go?
Okay. So 2 minutes or less in the Catholic Church, you got it.
Okay, I'm starting.
You asked for it.
Okay,
stop the recording. Stop the recording.
Oh no, this is going out there, man.
So actually, as a part of my introspection this year, you'll be happy to know that I'm not quite as venomous about the Catholic Church anymore, because the truth of the matter is, it's none of my business, right? That stuff is none of my business. And it is aggravating that it still exists. Absolutely. The existence of that monstrosity is kind of, I think it's a blight on humans in general. But again, that's my opinion. It's none of my business. That's what I had to conclude. And actually, there was a lot of stuff wrapped up. I think I mentioned it earlier about just going through my own story a lot this year with the abuse specifically. I had to address it. I had to look at how I was talking about the Catholic Church, and it was 100% out of my own pain, right? So I'm glad you asked, Dom, because I've actually thought about it a lot.
Oh, very, very learned of you. I see I can't push any buttons tonight.
He's been preparing that for a year.
The flat earth. It's actually ever since our last podcast when all four of us were together, I was like, never again. Never again. But the truth is, I felt some of the things I said were offsides, and that got me to think about it. So I appreciate that.
Wow. Yeah. Good for you.
Well, yeah. I'm going to tell you.
I love it. I know it's like, Dave, finally you got this very basic of lessons of life.
Work through one trigger. Woo! I was gonna say thank you though, because I had when COVID first started, like I really had these visions in my head of like those TV shows you see where there's like spreading disease or whatever, right? And it's just a nightmare, horrible. But then we did a podcast episode with that bed bug sniffing dog. And that eliminated my worry so much about COVID because it replaced it with bed bugs now. So that was really awesome, Dave. So just to let everybody know, I'm sitting on a couch in a church and it's not brand new furniture. And this dog is burying its head in between the couch cushions. And all I can think of is there's nothing. I'm sitting on bed, like a mountain of bed bugs.
Darcy, that dog's nose was not in the cushions. It was in your crotch.
No.
We thought maybe
oh my God,
gonorrhea had gotten to you. And so we used the dog to try to help you.
I think do you think the dog would notice?
That was
if
pretty
you had
funny,
crabs?
actually.
I mean, it's just a bug, right?
Yeah, it might
have. That's
bed
bug's dirty cousin.
Bed bug's dirty cousin.
So I highly recommend if anybody's got some anxiety about COVID, just bring in a bed bug sniffing dog for an afternoon.
Oh my God.
Well, honestly, when James came in with that dog, I have no idea what other people are afraid of, right? Like, or what keeps people up at night. Like, I have no idea. And if people don't tell me, I don't know. But that was pretty funny, Darcy, because it was kind of like after the fact.
Yeah, but I wasn't afraid of it until that damn dog would not stop sniffing all the furniture in there.
I know.
For like an hour and a half. So then I'm like, oh, now I'm covered in it. And I'm going home, and now my whole house is covered in bed bugs now. So
yeah. Totally. Yeah, we planted the seed. It was pretty awesome. And then the way Sam tortured you about it was pretty good too. So.
Yes, she's really good at that. Thanks. Yeah.
Well, kids are good at that. That's like their gift back to you parents, right? Yeah. Is like, here's some of how we felt about being disciplined all these years.
I know. And then our revenge.
Enjoy.
When you have grandkids.
Yes.
That's when revenge hits. But yeah, so for anybody out there who wants to deal with their COVID anxiety, just think how many bed bugs could be living in all of your furniture and carpet.
Well, thanks for that.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, I know now John's going to be on the carpet with a magnifying glass. No, thank God those days are over, hey, John?
Oh, dude. Yeah, bed bugs are the least of my worries.
Yeah, no doubt. Where we're on the carpet looking for shit in the carpet.
Oh.
Mind you, I didn't do that very often, and it wasn't for the same reason, but yeah. Sometimes you drop your drugs on the carpet, and you got to go sifting through the carpet.
Yep. Carpet pickers.
Carpet pickers.
It's like the scene at the end of Dazed and Confused where they're dropping the weed on the field as they walk to the cops. I always think, I wonder, I bet you that kid came, in real life, that kid would have come back and tried to find it and put it back in the bag.
Oh, yeah. Like as a teenager? Are you kidding?
Oh, yeah.
It was hard to find. Yeah.
Either that or set the whole field on fire.
Yeah. It's burn the whole thing for a 5 minute.
We're just going to roll it up. We're going to roll the whole thing up.
Yeah.
So I don't think any of us answered. Are you guys all we're just going to stay home for New Year's, I'm imagining?
Yeah. I don't.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not a big New Year's party guy anyway, so this year really isn't going to be any different, except I probably will stay up past midnight this year for the first time in years. So
first time in years, eh?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
You guys barbecues or anything, or family coming over, or can't even have family over?
No.
God, I forgot already.
Yeah, no plans.
No plans. Cool. Well, gentlemen, unless there's anything else you want to talk about for 2020, I love you guys. I appreciate you. Thanks for doing this. It was just fun to laugh with you guys.